Where to begin? I started reaching out to many of you saying, it's been 44 years. My dad's tried 350, maybe 400 jury trials. He's never been the Distinguished Trial Lawyer of the Year. And most people said, he hasn't been already? That was the response. Most people were shocked that Greg hadn't won it yet. And I want to start, though, the art of what we do is tell stories. And as a young boy, 3, 4, 5 years old, my dad would sit every night at the foot of our bed, and he would tell us stories. Could be the Che Guevara, Fidel Castro stories. Could be the political races that were happening. But my favorite stories, and what inspired me to be a trial lawyer, is he would talk about his cases. And he would talk about his strategy and what his plan of actions was. And that was every night. Read a book and then hear the stories. And it was my favorite part of being a little kid. And, my dad, I think he's the youngest of 4 brothers. My Uncle David is here with us, along with my mom and my little brother, Michael. And, being the youngest of 4 brothers, I'm the eldest, right? So I don't have this chip on my shoulder. But Greg was, bullied and pushed around by his older brothers. And he developed this righteous indignation for the world. And he wants to take on the powerful. He's always wanted to do that. And I think that started at a very young age. He went, many people don't know this, but he went and fought with the civil rights movement, registered voters in the South. And he would go follow the preachers after they would speak. So he'd hear these African-American preachers get up and go up and down. And he had to get up and then and give speeches after that and register voters. And I think that's where he got a lot of his skills at wooing juries. And, he fought the Vietnam War. He was a radical lefty. When I would grow up, he called himself a hippie communist lawyer. That was his favorite phrase for himself. He worked decades to close the Trojan nuclear power plant. He and his hippie communist cohorts, he would bring me as a 6-year-old to these political meetings, and they would fight each other, and I would just sit there and watch. That was my upbringing to politics, was watching them fight. And they successfully closed down Trojan in 1992. They finally, after 3 ballot measures, they forced the plant to close. It helped that we learned about 1988. We were facing a massive earthquake. That did help. But the art of being a great trial lawyer is Greg's great evolution. He likes to say for the first 17 years of his career, he never won a case that he felt he could call his dad about. And it's true, he didn't win his big cases for the first 17 years. And it was because he didn't just want to win the jurors over to his plaintiff's side of the case. He wanted to go get them to take the pitchforks with him and go out the door and lynch the bad guys. That's what he wanted. And it's taken a long time. And I know my mom, she made him go to Seattle and take classes on expanding his skill set back in the 90s, which really did help him a lot. But I think also partnering with Mark McDougall, that we have a beautiful team. I've been there for the last 9 years, and Mark's wife, Natalie's an attorney there at the firm too. The 3 of us, we really temper each other well, and we are warriors when it comes to a trial. I mean, we are all in when it's a trial. We shut down the office basically, and all 3 of us work, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. Greg's usually the last one out dictating on his box at 11. I said, Greg, you need some sleep, man. He says, yeah. And then I call the guy who types, and I say, put Greg to bed if it's 11:30. That's the rule in trials, but he doesn't always listen to that. But no, we have a wonderful firm. And we've been on an enormous hot streak. In the last, I've got to participate in 58 jury trials since 2009, and we've won 75% of the cases. The average verdict, small and large, is $600,000. And my dad has 11 verdicts of 7 figures, $1 million or more, which I think is tops in the state or tied for tops in the state. So I will say this about my dad. I think right now he's really at the top of his game. He has a fine-tuned skill at connecting with people, and I think Mark and I help temper some of his more eccentric things that can happen out there in the courtroom, as Judge Matarazzo knows well. So we are a wonderful team, and I'll tell you this, Greg answers every single darn phone call that comes in the office, and he's a warrior. He's a warrior for justice, and we love him dearly. He's never going to retire. He's going to die with his boots on, and with that, I'd like to introduce my father.